Hi, everybody. As we are getting out of the NFL draft and getting to know some of the newest Steelers a little bit more, I am pleased to be joined by two new Steelers. Their head coach from college, Maryland head coach Mike Locksley. Coach, thanks for the time joining us today to talk about two guys from your squad.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, Missi, and excited for both Anthony and Antoine with having opportunities to play for such a great organization like the Steelers.
All right, I'm going to ask you a little bit about each of them, but first, everybody hears, okay, another Maryland player going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everybody knows that head coach Mike Tomlin's son, Dino, plays at Maryland. Matt Canada, the Steelers' new quarterbacks coach, came from Maryland, and also Scotty Montgomery, who's on your staff, used to be a Steelers coach. So a lot of those connections, how much of that did play into it, and how much is it just what these players are putting out there?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. Obviously, I think the players have to put on tape that they're capable of being NFL-type players, and I think both Anthony and Antoine were able to do that during their careers here at Maryland. Now, I do think having intimate knowledge on these guys, which obviously with Dino playing here for us, and then the relationship of Scotty Montgomery, who's worked under Coach Tomlin, Matt Canada, who served as the interim head coach here for a couple of and also coached for a couple of years with both these guys in his program. So to be able to have the type of information that I know an organization like the Steelers look for, they're one of those organizations that do their that do their homework on the players that come in. So I do think it's a little bit of both.
One thing that I really liked, because of course, as soon as Anthony and Antoine jumped on calls with the Pittsburgh media, it was like, well, how much interaction did you have with head coach Mike Tomlin, when he was at Maryland watching his son? They both said, he kind of was just there to be a dad. How do you view Coach Tomlin when he's there to just be a dad, opposed to maybe gathering information and getting to know about some upcoming players and even the two that he drafted?
Having been in that situation myself, I've had three sons that played Division I football, and separating dad and coach is really important. And I know for Mike, it was important to him that when he came here to Maryland and to see Dino play, he wanted to be dad. Now, obviously, he had an opportunity to really get to see our program up close and personal because of Dino being a part of it, where he was able to see the Anthony McFarland, the impact he had on our team, as well as Antoine Brooks. So, but there's no doubt being a dad was first and foremost in every visit that he had here. And I know from him, it was really important to keep it that way.
All right, let's go in order. I want you to kind of give me the scouting report, the coach's view of the players. So we'll start with running back Anthony McFarland, as you said, and some notes of things that he said when he was talking to the Pittsburgh media: the adversity, losing a teammate, the high ankle sprain, some of the different things that he's been through, the change of pace player he could be for the Steelers. Give us your take on him.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that it's hard to put his skill set in a box. I've known Anthony since he was in 7th or 8th grade. He is a DMV legend here with his youth football exploits and how he came up. And then at DeMatha, which is one of the top programs in the country, year in and year out, his skill set was shown there. A lot more than just a speed guy. He's a guy, unfortunately, that played his senior year with a bad wheel, with the high ankle sprain that is a nagging injury. And what he showed me doing that was that he was capable of playing through it. He played tough. He tried to fight through it. And we actually, as coaches, made the decision to kind of shut him down in a couple of games because we wanted to try to get him back as close to 100% as we could. And with that high ankle sprain, time is the only thing you can do because it's such a tough injury for a speed guy. But I think what you'll find in Anthony, his skill set as a receiver out of the backfield, a matchup problem for linebackers covering him. He does have a versatile skill set in that his speed is the name of his game. He's a tough tackle in the open field. But he also proved to me the one year I had him was that he'd be tough enough to run it in between the tackles and restrict his tackling surface and play bigger than his size. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that part of his game.
I know a lot of people always go to that Ohio State game when he had that really breakout performance. It was before your time, but is there a play, a game that sticks out in your mind in terms of his toughness, even in practice?
Yeah, I think the big game for us would have been the last game of the year because, we had kind of shut them down near the end of the season. And going into the Michigan State game, our last game of the year, we were down to 2 backs with he and Javon Leak because of injuries and suspension. And so both those guys had to carry the load in practice. And then we went up to Michigan State, a game we were competitive in. And the only reason we were competitive was because of Anthony's play. He finished the season really strong in that game, had, I think, 130 yards rushing against the Michigan State defense that has been year in and year out one of the better defenses. And there were tough yards to get in that game, even though he was able to hit a home run there at the end.
All right, so Coach, in the 6th round, the Steelers went with safety Antoine Brooks, and Kevin Colbert said he's half linebacker, half safety. So how would you describe Brooks to Steelers fans?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's a hybrid position player that brings a skill set in. I mean, he's played both positions here during his career. He was an outside linebacker prior to us getting here. This past season, I think we showed and he showed that he's capable of playing in the deep part of the field, whether it's a half player or a thirds player, with his range. Really, really good ball skills. You know, he was a quarterback in high school, so the ball skills are there. A guy that's used to handling the ball, and when the ball is in the air, is capable of making the play to come down with it. But the thing I think is the best part of his game is his versatility in that he can drop down in the box as that hybrid rover type player, brings a tremendous energy as a blitzer, really sure open field tackler. And I think the thing that the Steelers are going to love about this guy is his energy level is always 100 miles per hour. I mean, he was the heartbeat of our team, heartbeat of our defense. With the type of energy he brought to practice, he loves to play the game. And another great addition, in my opinion, to the Steelers organization.
All right, I think this could be said for all rookies across the NFL. Sometimes you got to break in with special teams, but all the coaches, the assistants that talked about these two players, special teams really came up. So what are they going to be able to bring to the Steelers in that area?
Yeah, I think with Anthony, even though we didn't use him as much because we had Javon Leak, who ended up being the special teams player of the year for the Big Ten. But Anthony is very capable of returning kicks. And then also we asked him to be a punt returner for us. And a guy that has natural hand-eye coordination will be able, in my opinion, to be a return guy at that level, but also possibly showed some toughness to possibly be a cover guy in the return game as a gunner on the punt team. You know, with Antoine Brooks, again, like we talked about, because he's such a short tackler, because he plays with an edge to him in the cover game, in the special teams, the kickoff team, the punt return units, and the punt block units. I see those areas that he'll excel in immediately because of the effort and the tenaciousness he likes to play with.
All right, Coach. Well, we really appreciate your time and a little scouting report on everyone, and also what Coach Tomlin's like when he's at Maryland. We appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me.